Well, everybody, this is my friend and just a brilliant scientist, probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And he formulated this based on real science. He's got a nutritional company out in Utah, and I believe you have 18 full-time scientists just researching the research for you.
Yeah, about that many. I don't keep track, but 18, 20, we're somewhere in there. But they basically follow what I direct them to do, although we're researching the science. And the key to our success is researching the research that's been done in science, because much of this won't be, while it's published and they make discoveries, much doesn't come to the market, and what does takes a long, long time to get there. And a lot of the science comes from universities and drug research companies, pharmaceutical companies, and that. And when they find something in nature, which is over half of the medicines they're first originated in nature, they then in turn have to make a synthetic molecule that will mimic the same effects, because the law is that all natural ingredients are God-given and no one has the right to patent them. So that's why you have prescription drugs with tremendous amounts of side effects, because the ingredient themselves might elicit the same response that the natural one does, but the natural one is compatible with the body and the other one is not, and so you see all the advertisements with all of the side effects, which takes up so much of the time, because that's the way synthetic molecules, in large part, operate. So when I build a product, I take a look at the greatest science that is available, some of it newly discovered, some of it has been around for a while, that's well proven, and I build a formulation together, knitting the pieces in. So we have a lot of different methods of attack, but we look at the primary thing we're having to do, and then we come in with all of the peripheral ingredients that enhance it, make it more potent, work in another different way than the other. And so there's, with Lyme's disease, it's quite a complex disease, and there are so many symptoms. Just recently they found out how the Borrelia bacteria, which causes Lyme disease, progresses through the body. Even up to recently they didn't know that. But what it does is it progresses up through your capillaries and arteries and veins, and it goes upstream, so to speak. The blood is flowing one way, and they're a lot like some types of animals that live in the watery areas, and especially where there's a fast-running stream. And a lot of insects will get on the stream, and they face upstream, and then their feet have claws on them that dig back in, and so that it can't be washed away. And then when they release it and take a step forward, then it grabs in again. The principle is just exactly the same with this bacterium. And so they slowly progress upstream until they come to a place where they have more vulnerability, an area to penetrate. And that's why the disease is so difficult and so different with so many people, because it could deposit in the knees or in the liver or brain or anywhere that it can go. I don't think it goes through the blood-brain barrier. Sorry about that. But any other organ or muscles. And so you have all of these effects from it, and then it starts affecting whatever biological system could be in your endocrine system and damaging it. So with this, it's been really difficult for scientists and doctors to diagnose it properly. In fact, it's about half of the people that are diagnosed with Lyme disease do not indeed have it. They just have some of the symptoms. And so you need to understand in medicine, the definition of a physician is they practice the art of medicine. Now think about that. They're not applying proven science. They're practicing the art of medicine. So when you go to the doctor and you have a symptom, they will try and give you something to treat the symptoms, because that's where medicine makes its money. If they cure the disease or whatever the affliction is, then they lose the customer. So now most pharmaceutical products are designed to make money, and that means you want a repeat customer. So they put the money that they invest into it into designing a product that will treat the symptom. And likewise with Lyme's, there are lots of symptoms and things like that occur, but that makes it also hard for them to diagnose. So I'm a research scientist, and I have a large team that works for me, but I want to know what the real answers are, the best answers. And so I went into a number of different types of companies and formulations and technologies and started researching what was discovered as single source ingredients. And I've come up with a product, and I call it, appropriately renamed, is the Avenger. And the Avenger goes really after what you want to accomplish in this. Now, I can't make a claim that this will cure Lyme's disease, and I can just make the claims that it will support the body in its fight against them. And the drug companies make it so that if you make a claim like that, they say, well, you can make it, but if you haven't got the studies and tests on your formulation to prove it, then you will be prosecuted. Your building can be shut down, products confiscated, banks' accounts seized, because Big Pharma and Big Medicine is heavily supported by the Food and Drug Administration and FTC because they want to have a captive market. And I won't get too much into the politics of it, but for every single lobbyist there is in Washington, D.C., there are 3 that lobby for pharmaceuticals and medicine. So it's so big business, and that's why things are so ridiculously priced, and they have to go through this approval process to be able to make the claims. And synthetic molecules are first mainly discovered and proven in natural ones, and then they go on to synthetics. So I've taken the natural discoveries that have been designed and have made this formulation. The biggest problem with the bacterium is that it has a biofilm and shell on it, and with that, it hides it to the immune system. And, of course, the immune system goes after bacteria and viruses and all the types of infections you might have, fungus, yeast, mold, any of those things. But the bacterium is hidden from the antibodies in the blood system, and they can't identify it because of this biofilm. So one of the most important things in treating Lyme's disease, and I have to say supporting perhaps Lyme's disease, is the fact that you have to do something with the biofilm. If you can't, you're not going to get to it. And then you need to support the immune system and provide other types of ingredients that have properties with them to use. So we go after it, and we use a combination of things. One of the most important ones is a thing called the glycerol monolaurate, and it's a very powerful compound. It actually comes out of coconut, and when they manufacture and extract it, it is able to effectively dissolve much of that biofilm that's there and make it vulnerable to the rest of the body. Now, some companies do know that, and a few companies do use it, but the problem is they see the studies, and the amount they use is not coordinated to what the results were. For instance, with formulations that I've looked at, and I'm just give you a ballpark range, they're usually, the dosage is about 500 or 600 milligrams a day. And the reality of it is that it takes about 2,500, about 5 times as much, to really be effective. And so when I saw what was being done, I thought, well, they're putting some in, and maybe there's some mild effect, but the real studies say it takes about 2,500 milligrams to really be effective. So that's what we put in our product with that. And then we use some things to come in and to help to crack the shell. And one of those that supports that is cat's claw, which is and also has some great properties for anti-inflammatory and many things like that normally you wouldn't find in products. But it works really well with it. And we have some things to bring it in and bring the immune system up in so many different ways, and to make the bacterium more vulnerable and to identify it to the antibodies that are there. And so we use a myriad of things. One of them is an elderberry extract that's very concentrated. Now, when I talk about these ingredients, we're not just talking about using a natural ingredient. We're talking about sometimes that they've been concentrated hundreds or thousands of times. And that's the way it is with our monolaurate. So we come in with a range that hits the immune system from every way possible that has been shown that we think. There's probably a few others, but from what we can find, it's the most successful in supporting the body's immune system against this bacterium. And so we use a myriad of things, like there's an olive leaf extract. Now you wonder about that, but it does have some powerful properties with it. And you can look it up and see what they are. We use what I believe is the world's most powerful immune support ingredient, and it's a mushroom, and you've probably heard of Ganoderma mushroom, and but this is called chaga, and it's a fungus like that is, but it's over 100 times more powerful than Ganoderma, and it's a very odd compound because funguses are in the plant world, mushrooms, and this one has DNA that is similar to the animal kingdom. It grows on the barks of birch trees, white birch trees or aspen trees. And so we have this very concentrated and put a very high dosage of it in it to be effective in what we're doing. Then we have an ingredient in it called ashwagandha, if you know what that is. And ashwagandha has some very good immune support and inflammatory properties, and it makes other compounds work better when it's with it. And so that's put in. And then we take some really powerful immune support for a wide variety of afflictions you might have, because when you get Lyme's disease, you're vulnerable, and a lot of people will get a lot of peripheral diseases with it, or infections, and can be viral, or they can be bacterium, or they can be other kinds of bacterium that other than the ones that takes up Lyme disease. So we come after about everything that could happen. We want to take down inflammation. We want to support the body's immune system. The antibodies help to identify the bacterium that you're after, and those are all the things that we do. So we come in with a combination. There's a red root extract that's extremely powerful, and you've probably heard that garlic is good for the heart, but if you take a garlic extract and you can make it very concentrated, it's really powerful for the immune system. And then we take a lotus leaf extract, and it has incredible powers for particularly to support the body against that brilliant microorganism. And then the last one comes from Lyme. And it sounds odd because here's Lyme disease, and we're talking about a Lyme product. But there's some properties in it that have really got immense amounts of power for supporting particular things within the immune system to make it more powerful in going after this condition, to support your body as it goes after it. I have to be, perhaps you're seeing I'm quite careful, because I can't make drug claims or you get prosecuted on this. But you could look up the ingredients. And the one thing about DSHEA, which is the Dietary Supplemental Health Education Act, it allows you to talk about ingredients and what they can do. And if they have the studies, you can publish the studies or anything. And every one of these is backed by a lot of research and a lot of clinical studies on them. But when you put them all together, you can't make a claim on what the product is for, even what those ingredients can do. What you can really say is just talk about the ingredients and then say how they're supporting the body in whatever condition that your formulation is for. This one happens to be for Lyme's disease. And but this does it in a myriad of ways with immense amounts of power. And if you look at all the studies, you'll see these are well proven, and you'll be very effective in supporting the body, so you can get some relief, and perhaps more than relief. You don't want just that. We're not symptomatically treating it. You want to really see if the body can get rid of it. And they have some new things now in cancer, and I don't know if you heard them, but just recently, what they do is they tune up the body's immune system and make it specific to killing cancers. And some cancers that where they were stage 4 terminal, and some very difficult cancers are now being killed because the immune system, science has gotten so good that it trains it to go after those cancers, and it's fine on their cells, but it kills the cancer cells. This formulation sort of borders on that philosophy of doing it. what we're doing is bringing immune products into the system that are actually immune products, and then we're bringing ones to support the whole immunological system throughout your body in so many ways. And then so we really go after it. But then the thing we have to do is you have to provide something to make the organism so it's vulnerable to attack. We certainly do that. And that's been the biggest reason that almost all products have failed or not been very successful in it, because they really don't go after it. And that's when the monolaurin that we use 2,500 milligrams of it to give that type of effect. And then there's the other consequences that happen. It's inflammation and all types of irritation and peripheral types of infections that are involved, and swelling and all of those things. And so this whole formula is designed to accomplish just that. So I've probably gone on for all the time that I should go on this, but if you're looking at something that's as serious and as difficult as this is, and so misdiagnosed, I can tell you one thing about Avenger. It is specifically designed for this, on the basic science that has really been proven to work to support the body, so that it can be, I believe, extremely effective. And the body has the ability to kill it all, but if you don't give it the right types of nutrients or support, it can't work. And that's what this formulation is designed to do. So anyway, heat is a factor. There's no doubt about that. But when you start getting up, as the lady was talking about, 105 degrees, so you get a fever when you have a sickness or an infection. Your body heats up, and so that it makes the bacteria, they're much more vulnerable to be destroyed. And so when you're talking about some of these electromagnetic forces that you can get it there, but there's a tipping point. When you start getting 106, 107, you're in trouble with your body, so you have to do those things well. But this, if you're using that treatment and this one along with it, you can imagine how vulnerable the bacterium would be to it. So, Doc, I'm going to turn time back to you, and I thank all of you that were on the call. I hope this is informative to you.
Tom, thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you taking 20 minutes out of your day to jump on here, because there's so many people in the country, not just here, but all over the world. Liz has been getting emails from people in Switzerland and Ireland and all over Europe that are suffering from this as well, and so we invited them on the call. So we're speaking to probably about 8 or 9 different countries right now, sharing this information. So I sure appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. And just one little point: when I was in Romania and Bulgaria, there were signs on billboards in English advertising for people to come in that are afflicted with Lyme's disease, and it so surprised me. So you're right; it's really a worldwide epidemic.
It sure is. Thank you.